Hi, my name is Jessica. We're doing part 2 of my Creating Characters in Anime Studio Pro 9 series. Today, we'll be making the face, the features of the face, the eyes, the mouth, the nose, and everything else. The first thing that you should do is set everything up. In your head folder, you should have the nose, the features folder, and the head. In the features folder, you should have the eye switch layer and the mouth switch layer. It's important to have the eye switch as a switch layer to switch between open eyes and closed eyes, and the reason to have a mouth switch layer is to be able to lip sync later on when you're animating. Add a bone instead of a folder for in the switch eyes layer, because that way you can move the iris and the eyebrows when you're animating. The first thing that you're going to draw is the ear. You can use the create shape tool and add a circle, and then add some points and adjust them. After you're done, change the gradient so that it fades into darker skin color downwards, and then duplicate the layer, select the points, all the points, and flip it to the other side and translate it as you need. I adjusted the gradient in the neck to create a shadow underneath the head. After that, create the nose. You should create 2 points somewhere in the middle of the nose and connect them from one side to the other, then create a shape and then adjust the gradient to create a shadow right underneath the nose. Also hide the edges that are not needed, such as the ones that are on the sides, and also the ones that separate the shadow and the skin. The skin on top should be more lighter and shouldn't have too much of a gradient. You can also soften the edges between the nose. After you're done, create a style and call it white, and this will be used for the eye. Then create a style for the eyebrows. Make it dark brown to match the hair. Then make a style for the iris. I decided to use a green color, and then the second color is a darker color, and there's a reason I did this, and it has to do with the bones and the bone influence. After you're done, create a shape outlining the eye, and then make a circle. Delete the shape if you have it. Then select the portion that outlines the eye, create a new shape without the fill. Then use the hide edge tool to hide some edges on the bottom of the eye. Decrease the width of the line in the style window, and then change the line width of certain points. Create a circle, bring it underneath everything else. The circle should be with white style, and create your eyelashes. I decided to use the freehand tool. And adjusted some points. And change the width, connecting the eye. Where the points are connecting the eye. You can move it around to your liking. And if you're wondering, the keyboard shortcuts I use are Control R for select all. I use Enter to deselect points. The T to enable the translate points tool most of the time, and Control C to copy, Control V to paste, Control S to save. Sometimes I use it from the file menu. Okay, so now you should be creating your iris. The first circle, it should be the style 1, should be filled with style 1, and the second smaller circle should be filled with style 2, and the edges of style 2 should be softened to about 10, and then the pupil, you should have a style for that as well. I just decided to use a white to use a black pupil and soften the edge to 1, and then you add a shine. You can soften that edge if you would like to 1 maybe. Don't forget to add outlines, but only to the iris and nothing else. Adjust points if you want. It looks a little different from my original sketch, but it's okay because I like to be flexible and it doesn't really bother me as much, especially since I wasn't too attached to the sketch in the first place. I decided to bring the iris down because it looked like she was looking up. This step is really important. What you need to do is to select the top shape, which will be the lid in a way, and then bring it up by going on draw and bring to front. Then click on the outline and bring that to the front, and then click on the eyelashes and bring that to the front as well. And if you cannot click on the eyelashes as I couldn't before, just move some points around so that you will be able to click on the shape and bring it forward. And the reason for this is so that the iris and the pupil and the shine can be underneath the skin, so when she's looking left and right, it's hidden. And I like to have it all in one layer instead of creating a mask, because when I create expressions and animate, it's a little bit easier for me like that. Now start creating the eyebrows. I use the add points tool, and I went all around. And if you're wondering how I'm tracing this, I just hit the layer Kim, but I still stayed on the eye layer, and I just used the add points tool to go all around the eyebrow. Then I filled it in with the hair style because there was an eyebrow style. I filled it with the eyebrow style. The iris group, and I moved it around to check that it's moving correctly. You should do the same. And after I checked that it's not sticking out and everything, I duplicated the layer, I flipped it, translated it to create the right eye. I renamed it right eye. And then I started making the bones. You should have a main bone to bind all the points that are not used to that bone, and then you should also have a bone for the shine, and I'll explain why when I'll be doing a head turn tutorial. And after you created your bones, you should bind them to some points. Like the irises, you should bind the bone that's next on top of the iris to both the smaller and bigger iris and the pupil. And then the shine, you should bind the bone to the shine on both the left and the right eye. If you're wondering about the keyboard shortcut I used Alt to go between the bones. The mouth is a pretty complex layer since it has everything in it. What I did first is to create a shape on top, which is like the top lip, and I adjusted the gradient so that it's blending in properly with the skin on the face. I hit the points that are not needed, and then I started creating the bottom lip, and it has to be connected to the top lip, but only from one side. After you created the bottom lip, fill it in and then hide the unnecessary edges. It should be looking like a V that's turned 90 degrees to the left. After that, make a new style and call it inside mouth or whatever you want, and make it a reddish color. Then create a shape that connects to the point that connects to the top and bottom lip. Then create a shape. Select the create a shape and take off the edges. And then make a new style, call it teeth. And then created a gradient from white to light gray. Then I brought it down using the raise back in the draw menu. I duplicated the top teeth, brought it down, changed the style because for some reason it changed to the style of inside mouth. Create a new style and call it tongue. And even when you're using gradients, you should still change the color, because when you're working and editing, it only previews when you're not editing, and when you're moving points around, it changes to the simple color. So that's why I always change the color, even though I have a bunch of gradients throughout my project. Adjust the adjust the tongue and bring it under the teeth. It turns out that the bottom teeth, no, not the bottom teeth, the bottom and top, the bottom top lip and the inside mouth were all connected, so I decided to delete the shapes and create new ones so they're not connected to each other. I was testing it out. I selected the bottom portion of the mouth and I brought it down, and it looks like she's opening her mouth. I added points to the inside mouth right in the middle, so that when she opens her mouth, it looks better. When you bring the points of the top lip, it should become invisible like this. You can also duplicate the open mouth version to use later when we're going to be doing lip syncing. If you haven't noticed yet, the bangs on Kim's face are divided in 3 sections. There's a middle, the left, and the right, which is similar to my character Abigail, and I didn't do that on purpose, but since I already have dealt with that before, I know that it needs to be separated into 3 different layers in order for the head turn to work properly. You can put in 1 layer if you do not like hedge turns or don't think you will need it in your project, but just in case, you should make it like I am right now. Trace it over the drawing, and remember you can hide the Kim layer on top while still being on the hair layer to trace over. Call it left bangs, right bangs, and middle bangs, and that's the order should go in from bottom to top. Hide the edges on top after you're done creating the shapes, and also create a different layer that will hide the spot that wasn't covered by the other bangs, and hide the edges, and also bring the lighter portion of the gradient on top and the darker portion under so that it seamlessly blends in. Remember to hide the edges on top, and also use a line width tool to decrease the width of the lines on top, so that's also fading out. The lighter portion should be on top for all the hair, is even the one in the back. It should be going from lighter on top and darker on the bottom. Render it to see your progress. If you want, you can adjust points. I did notice that I forgot to parent the eyes and that it needs to be reparented, so I connected the left eye to the right eye, so that when the right eye moves, the left eye moves as well. Create your eyebrow bones and then bind it to the 3 different sections so that when you move it, you can change your expression. If you need any, you can now test the eyes and the eyebrows to see how it's working out. If something's wrong, like what I noticed, then maybe you might have to reparent your bones. The bone on the ends of the eyebrows should be parented to the central bone, and the pupil on the right side should also be parented to the central bone. The central bone, the points that are not in use are also binded to the central bone, which is why the central bone is really essential. You can make an expression if you want right now, as I'm trying to do, just to see if everything is okay when you move the bones around or if you rotate them. The eyebrows should be individual of each other. They should not be connected in any way. After you're done, you should be creating the closed eye shape. So duplicate the open bone layer and then call it closed. Delete unused shapes that you're not going to be using, such as the pupil, the iris, the shine. And adjust the points to make it look like your eyes are closed. And then select all and bring it down, or Control A keyboard shortcut. Go between open and close to see if it looks okay. Then after you're done, copy and paste into the left eye layer and adjust points as you need. Go back and forth between open and closed to see if it looks okay. Okay, I think that's about it for today. Thank you for watching. In the next tutorial, I will be creating the mouth shapes so that we'll be able to, and that's about it for today. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video, comment below if you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback. Subscribe to my channel to be notified when I make another video. Make sure to follow my blog. It is bothecreature.wordpress.com. The link will be below. And you can see my personal work, and I'll also sometimes write tips and tricks and things that I learned that are related to Anime Studio and animation in general. Make sure to visit, and you should also watch the first part of my movie that I'm working on right now. It's called Bo the Creature. You can find the video on my channel. Thank you again for watching. See you next time. Bye.